I am in the process of finally hanging up my curtains. I had this very makeshift setup. It was working for what I needed it to work for. I just needed to block out, obviously, people seeing inside my window, but the setup itself was just very chaotic. I was using my light stands to have the curtains sit on the pole that was the previous setup from before when it was drilled into the wall. But now I am finally in the process of putting up the curtain rod and then the actual curtains so that the whole system is nice and it's seamless and it works. So I want to show you a little bit of the process of how I'm putting them up. So I'm using the curtain track system from IKEA. I am going to basically install this myself. The pole wasn't long enough to cover the length of the actual window frame, so I have to put up two of them side by side, but then set it up in the way that it seamlessly can flow from one side to the other. I just put some measurements down, starting on the floor with blue tape just to see like how long I want the entire system to cover up the window frame, and then use that to then measure and make some markings on the ceiling, basically where I'm going to screw in the holder. I'm going to attempt to do that now. Fingers crossed, and hopefully this doesn't, create a lot of damage, because I don't really know what I'm doing, but we're just gonna figure it out and we're gonna see if it actually works. First things first is to get the holder pieces screwed up into the ceiling, and then the frame, I'm going to add in the curtain hooks first to make that a little bit easier. Then bring that up, attach it to the holders that are in the ceiling, secure them in, and then I will add the other hooks onto the curtains, and then those curtain hooks go onto the ones that are on the actual track system. Hopefully I don't make a mistake and this actually works. If it doesn't, I'll just call my brother and he'll fix it. Let's hope we don't have to get there. So let's attempt to do this now, and yeah, just pray for me. Pray for me. I decided to put all the hooks onto the curtain first before I installed the curtain in the ceiling, just to make it a little bit easier for me to maneuver. So what you're seeing here is basically the hooks have anchors on both sides that you can fit within these pockets, and that pretty much creates a pleat within the curtain. So you wouldn't really get this effect without putting the hooks in first, unless you were using a curtain rod. So I wanted that added touch of design when I was setting this up. Now, the IKEA system came with the gliders and the hooks. So basically the hook pops onto the glider, and then the glider itself goes onto the track system on the side that's a little bit thicker, and the thinner side goes into the reinforcers that I have right now in the ceiling. And that's pretty much it. It's very simple. You just pop the hooks onto the gliders, onto the track, and I wanted to do that first before I put everything up. Now, here's where it got a little tricky, and I had to really rack my brain to figure this out. So basically, the end piece of the track system, you have to put this hex bolt into the end, and then you put that piece into the track. There's this little black screw that you take and you screw that into the bolt, and that's pretty much what is going to secure everything together on the track. I don't know why, but the website doesn't explain this. The instructions that it came with doesn't explain this. I don't even think they even mentioned that this little bolt came with the system. I didn't even find YouTube videos explaining this, so I really had to like dig for this information in order for it to work, because if that piece wasn't screwed on, then nothing would have been secured. Other than that, it's a great system and it was pretty easy to set up. Okay, so really quickly, I put in 1 pack of the gliders and the hooks. So like these little hooks get attached to the gliders, and then the gliders go into the actual track itself. These do snap in, so you do have to like push them in a little bit, but I kind of wanted to show you guys what it's looking like with just the 1 pack. This is 24 pieces. With the curtains that I have, I think I might just put in 4 panels. Each panel has 10 slides on it, so it'll be like 2 on each side, and then that can just like glide through and cover up the space of the actual window. So I finally got the curtain track up, and it's beautiful. It's working the way I want it to work, and it is so much better than the other setup that I had before. I basically had a curtain rod that was leaning on like these hooks, all of them again purchased from IKEA. The issue with that was that the curtains didn't fully slide all the way through because the hook itself would be in between 2 different panels. So I couldn't necessarily like move them back and forth from left to right. But with the curtain track, since it is just like that one seamless line, I can pull all of these curtains to one side. I can split them in half. I can you know, do whatever I want with them because there's nothing blocking in the way. Also, before I had the curtains covering the entire wall instead of just the window frame. And I feel like with it just covering the window frame, it opens up the room a little bit more. The curtains were kind of closing off the space and it wasn't letting light bounce around as much. And since my room does tend to be on the darker side because of where the windows are positioned, I think that just covering up the actual frame opens up the room a little bit more because light, again, is able to bounce around. I will say that IKEA did not really help with their instructions. I think there's a couple of steps that they don't give you that you have to sort of figure it out. And I'm sure like if someone is used to putting up curtains or have done it before, was probably more familiar with the different steps. But since this was my first time, I did have to figure out a couple of things on my own. But all in all, like the steps from, you know, front to back, start to finish, wasn't actually that complicated. For the most part, it was pretty simple to put up. I got it done in one afternoon. So if you are looking to purchase this system and install it in your home, I definitely say it's worth it. But there is one other thing that I want to talk about. I did order the piece. It's here, so I can basically take out the old and bring in the new. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is my desk. This is pretty much where I get all of my work done. If I'm not working here, I'm usually on either the dining room table or at a cafe or something. I initially purchased this desk because in one of the setups that I had, the desk was sort of like in between the mirror and the closet, and it was such a small and tight space, especially since my closet doors, they open up inward. So instead of it opening into the closet, it was opening into the room. So it's already cutting out a chunk of space that I couldn't put anything there. So I did a little bit of research, found this desk on IKEA. It's very, very slim, which was perfect for that initial setup because then I didn't have to worry about the closet door hitting the desk every time I needed to open it. Now with this new setup, I just think that one, initially it wasn't really the best desk in terms of like having to be able to work. Obviously I have my laptop, but then also a monitor. So the monitor sits in front of me, but you know, there's not really much space in between the distance of my actual face to the screen. This is a little bit too close for comfort for me. Since this is very slim and the monitor's taking up a huge chunk of the desk already, my arms didn't have enough space to sort of like be supported. So I'd find that like my elbow would sort of like hang off the desk and my wrist was bent. So like, you know, as I was like typing or like using the mouse, I didn't have great posture. I think I'll be selling this desk for sure. It's definitely one that's great if you are working on just a laptop and need something for a smaller and tighter space. So I did pick up another desk, which is technically a table that is a little bit longer, and I think it's the same length as well. So it should fit perfectly in this space. That is going to be getting swapped out now. So I'll show you the desk that I picked up and how it now looks in the new setup. I took all the pictures of the desk. I'm gonna list it on Facebook Marketplace and see if it sells anytime soon. If not, I think it'll just sit out in the living room area, and I think we'll just use it to store some books and whatnot. But also, if anyone's curious, this is the desk that I went with from IKEA. It's called Ingo. It's one of their pine wood desks, and they were actually doing a special sale on them. I don't know if it's going to be discontinued or anything like that, but it is the raw pine wood desk that I think eventually I will stain it to a darker color. But right now I'm just gonna build it, put it together so that it's here and that I have a more comfortable workspace to basically work at. desk is all finished, and I would say it's like 100 times better than the setup that I had before. It gives me more space to comfortably put my arms on the desk. It doesn't feel awkward when I'm trying to like use the mouse or when I'm typing. Also, for some reason, my monitor screen looks bigger, and I think it's because with the other desk, everything was just so tight and squeezed in and like smaller dimensions that now with a wider desk with more space, the screen is kind of like adapting to that too. I know that the dimensions obviously didn't change, but optically it looks bigger, which obviously is a plus in my eyes. So there's two other things on the desk that I will be updating. The stand that my current laptop is sitting on, I think it's just a little too bulky and heavy and it's taking up a lot of space. So I ordered one that is a little bit more sleek. It's also a silver color, which I think will complement not only the laptop, but the desk itself. And my plan is to also upgrade my monitor. Now, as I'm like getting more and more into editing and like color grading, I want something that is going to be a little bit more color accurate. Right now, I usually use like the larger screen to cut the footage, organize it out on the timeline, but then when I'm color grading, I use my MacBook. My hope is to update that monitor sometime in the next couple of months, just so that that setup in general just feels very seamless and makes it a lot easier for my workflow. But I think the foundation is basically what it needs to be for me to work at it.